This episode of Clipped is brought to you by Riverside.fm. With Riverside, you can record studio quality podcasts and video from anywhere in the world. It's time to say goodbye to complicated setups and hello to seamless, high quality recording. Riverside records high quality WAV files and up to 4K video files. You heard that right, people. 4K video all from your web browser. No more worrying about losing quality during the recording process. If you're using something else, you should check out Riverside because I think you're going to love it. I've personally been using Riverside for several years. I've been helping my clients record shows. I log in, I run the session. I also use it to record the audio and video version of this podcast. And I love that after you record, all the files are stored on Riverside's cloud. And so I don't have to worry about moving files around from hard drive to hard drive or to my laptop and then to my desktop. I simply log in and I can see everything that was recorded and I download those files and I'm good to go. And honestly, sometimes I'm traveling and I can use Riverside on my smartphone, which I love because the smartphone camera is killer and I can plug my mic in and I can have a fully functioning high quality studio right there on my phone. If you're not convinced, maybe this will help you out. Clipped listeners, if you're interested in checking out Riverside, use promo code CLIPPED to get an exclusive 20% discount on any individual Riverside membership plan. That's CLIPPED, CLIPPED, to get an exclusive 20% discount on any individual Riverside membership plan. Go to riverside.fm and sign up today. What up, potty people, and welcome back to Clipped. I'm Eric, your host, and Clipped is a podcast that brings you podcast production tips, resources, education, and industry insight to help you start, grow, and monetize a podcast. Stoked to be back on the pod with you this week for episode 44. I'm going to be discussing how to use AI to help you streamline your workflow, speed up your podcast production, and improve the quality of your content. And yes, I'm going to be talking about Chat GPT. I know, the whole AI thing, you're probably sick of it. And honestly, I was too, until I kind of put my ego aside like the last month and really started playing around with it. And to be honest, it's really improved the way that I go about writing, planning, and executing my content. And I think if you give this episode a listen and you give Chat GPT a try, I think you'll be surprised at how Chat GPT is going to help you as a creator. So, in this episode, I'm giving you 5 reasons to incorporate Chat GPT into your podcast production workflow. Let's give it a go.
Explain something.
Okay, so before we get into it, I want to mention that prompts are key. And what I mean by a prompt is you're going to tell Chat GPT to do something. The more thorough you are with your prompts, the better information that you're going to get back. You want to use this as a tool to complement like your vibe, your style, the way that you like to convey information. So make sure that you tell Chat GPT to write the content in the way that you would personally write it as a human, whether you tell it to insert some humor, whether you tell it to write the information with a serious tone, whether you tell it to organize things by bullet points or to add headings and subheadings. You want to be as thorough as possible so that you get the type of copy that resonates best with you and your brand. Then you're going to want to read it and you're going to want to fact check it. You're going to want to tweak it because it's unlikely that it's going to spit things out 100% the way that you want. But then you can go in, make some tweaks, put some of the copy into your own style and vibe. I mean, again, is your brand serious? Is your brand fun? Is it informative? How do you want ChatGPT to convey the information? That's one of the keys to all these tips that I'm going to give you. The more you hone in on that and the more you practice that, it can spit something out and you can say, hey, rewrite this in XYZ style. So that being said, I'm going to give you 5 tips on how you can use ChatGPT to create a better, more consistent, faster podcast. So number 1, content planning, structuring, and guest research. ChatGPT is great for generating topic ideas for your show. You can input prompts related to your podcast niche. You can input prompts related to potential topics that you want to explore in the future. It's going to ensure that the way you want to convey the information is relevant to the topic that you want to talk about. You can also use it to research guests. It's going to generate lists of relevant information that you can use to prepare yourself for the podcast guest that you're going to be interviewing. It's going to speed things up. Instead of like going to multiple sites to get the different types of information about your guest or about an episode that you want to do, get it all in one place with Chat GPT. Number 2 is script writing. And what I really love Chat GPT for is writing intros, and it helps me kind of consolidate my idea. And like I use it as a lead-in because sometimes for me, at least, I can come up with a lot of ideas for episodes and or guest questions, but I need a place to jumpstart things, to kick an episode off, to make my content like clear and concise. It's also great for outros. So you can ask ChatGPT to create like a conclusion paragraph. It'll just summarize the overall information in that episode or in that episode outline. Okay, number 3, interview questions. This kind of goes along with guest research, but you can have ChatGPT spit out some interview questions that you would like to ask your guests. You can even have ChatGPT come up with some like off-the-wall icebreakers. And yes, you're probably going to want to come up with some interview questions on your own, and you're going to want to pepper those in. And again, you want to make sure that you format these questions in the vibe and style that you want. You'll do a fairly good job, but then you're going to want to go in and really tweak the questions and put them in a format that's authentic to you. I think that's the problem with a lot of this AI stuff, is that people think like you use it verbatim. It's like, no, the people who are really smart and the people that are really using this to help their content, to speed up their content, they're making sure that whatever they get back from ChatGPT is authentic to them or as close as possible to authentic. And then they're going in and they're making those edits, making those adjustments. They're using it as a tool to really like speed up workflow so they don't have to make as many decisions. They can kind of get the information that they want and then they can work from there. They can tweak it. They use it as a jumping off point. And I think when you're interviewing guests, there's a lot of value in having a tool that can consolidate things for you like this. And then you go in, you put your spin on it. It's just going to help you create more thoughtful and engaging conversations with your guests. All right, number 4, writing show notes. So I personally love this. What I like to do is I get my episode transcribed and then I'll copy paste that into Chat GPT and I'll put a concise prompt like, hey, Chat GPT, please write podcast show notes in the typical podcast industry format for this episode. Please be sure to use headings, subheadings, and bullet points. I would like you to write an intro paragraph that explains what this episode is about, then a second body paragraph. In the second body paragraph, I'll have it get into the guest background and why the guest is on the show and why they're qualified to be on the show. Then I'll have it highlight key bullet points and I'll have it write like 6 to 7 bullet points. Here's 6 or 7 quick things that the reader can latch onto instead of like reading the whole page of show notes, because I do like to write show notes, several hundred words in kind of a blog post format, which I recommend you do as well. And honestly, it'll spit out like a structured page of show notes. Then you can go and make tweaks, add your links to whatever you want to link to. A super fast and easy way to get show notes written for your podcast. That's number 4, writing show notes. My next favorite thing, or perhaps my favorite thing, is for episode promotion. So you can use Chat GPT to generate short form content and highlights. You can put your transcript in and ask Chat GPT, hey, pull 5 exciting quotes from this episode. And boom, it'll spit those quotes out. You can then tweet those out to promote the episode. You can copy paste a section of the transcript. Hey, please create a LinkedIn post highlighting this section of text. Or please create a LinkedIn article based on this episode. And it spits you out really good articles and posts for LinkedIn. You can highlight a section of the text of your transcript. Say, hey, I want to make an Instagram reel out of this or an Instagram post. Please create a post based on this text and write it in like XYZ style. You can use it for so many platforms, even YouTube, like create a YouTube description from this. Boom. You put your episode up on YouTube. Boom, you've got your description. Great for anything you really want to do with social. Hey, create a blog post from this episode. Boom, it'll spit out a blog post. Obviously, you're going to want to go in and tweak, adjust, put it in your own vibe and style. But really, you can do so much on the promotion front. And it honestly looks really good. Like I used to be on LinkedIn and I'd be like, how are these people such good writers? Like, how are they creating these posts and these articles that are like so engaging? And maybe even they have a call to action and They're written with emojis. Chat GPT even puts emojis in for you. It's pretty rad. And now that I think about it, a lot of them are probably using AI, if not Chat GPT specifically. And now I feel like I can compete. Some of my posts, like the way they're written, I sound like I've been writing copy my entire life. If you learn how to use Chat GPT and you get comfortable with the prompts and you get comfortable asking it to create certain things for social media, you're going to be amazed at how well your content performs and the quality of content that you get. I think it's game-changing for organizing ideas. I think it's game-changing for coming up with new ideas. Another thing that we used it for, myself and a couple friends of mine, we're starting a new podcast about music supervision because they're both music supervisors. They license music for TV, film, and podcasts. We were trying to come up with a name for the podcast. So I asked ChatGPT, hey, spit me out 20 ideas for the name of a podcast about music supervision. Please be witty or please be funny. I want some that are serious, some that aren't serious. And it spit out 20 really rad names. And my friend was amazed. He looked at me and he's like, dude, these are way better than what we could have come up with on our own. So there's a lot of things you could do. Find one and roll with it. Those are my top 5 tips. Once you find one, keep going. I've found that the more I get into it, the more I can get out of it, the more I learn how to prompt it with the right kind of style, the right kind of information, and that just helps me get better information back. So what do you think? How do you feel about AI? Where do you think we're headed? Do you feel like it's cheating? That's it for me today, guys. Do me a favor and follow me on Instagram at The Podcast Haven, putting out a lot of great content, a lot of informational, educational stuff about podcasting. I put clips from the podcast on there as well. Would love for you to check it out. And if you have any podcasting questions, you can DM me on Instagram. Happy to chat, happy to connect with other creators who are podcasting or looking to start podcasts or have questions about podcasts. I want to be your resource to educate you and also have some fun along the way with some cool content. So that's The Podcast Haven on Instagram, and I will see you next week.
I know I cover up my fault lines with silly putty. Like the laughs gonna make the bad shit turn to nothing, but that's rubber, I'm glue. All I say stick to you, trying to get closer to the truth. Man, I ain't 22 no more. Gotta shoot for the moon, fuck if I fall on the floor. I always get back up, ask for more. I'ma keep playing pain strings till they chanting encore. Do you? Don't let them push your youth through a door that they open. This an open wound, I'm an open book. I'm a kook, shooting hoop dreams, they breaking through the roof. They be at the tree of Eden, trying to tear out all its roots. I be aiming for a king, playing around in a booth. Like this'll all work out. Tell my mama I'll be cool, she ain't gotta worry about a little chicken flew the coop. Chicken, little knew the truth. The sky's always falling down. Everybody's reaching out, thinking they can grab the clouds.